All right, so this is the immersive technology panel, and we've got a good list, a good group of people, and I'm just going to let them go down the row one by one and introduce what they do and who they are.
Sure. So my name is Bertrand, or Bert, CEO and founder of Urbana. Been doing VR for too long, so 2005. We have a pretty cool mixed reality headset. We're downstairs in the public exhibition, so come see us, I guess, tomorrow because we close at 2. But glad to be here.
My name is Brent Jinch. It's Brent. I work for a company called Ideal Lens. We make a self-contained mobile VR headset, completely tetherless, where the computer is built into the headset itself, so you don't put a phone in here. There's a lot to talk about this kind of thing this morning at the earlier panel. So it was very interesting for me, and I look forward to talking more about it.
Hi, I'm Gordon Harris from Christie Digital. If you go to a movie theater in Canada and you watch a movie, it's probably being projected with our projectors. We have about 70% of the screens and 3,000 screens in Canada. I'm in research and innovation, and we're looking into VR on a few different levels.
I'm Dave Doucette. I'm the STEM Education Director for Fast Motion Studios. We're a studio that produce fight action stunts for movies, television, gaming, and digital media, etc. Throughout the world. And we're venturing now into this area of virtual reality, because obviously related to the type of thing that we do. But at this point, it's kind of exploratory, but we want to be a part of it, because ultimately the content will be produced, and we're content producers.
All right, so we're going to start off with kind of a little bit of an easy question, just to get a bit of an opinion from you guys. I'm just curious, what was the point that was the aha moment for you that you realized that VR or AR was the way to go in the future? Or what drove you to think that that's the case?
Okay, so a little background, hardcore gamer since ColecoVision, so end of 80s, so I'm 39, a little younger. Started playing Donkey Kong, and for me the aha moment was really, I went from Macaulay Code to NES, so played Zelda, Mario, all that great things. And I went to a store and tried a Power Glove. And for me that was really, wow, like games, now you have kind of a cool input device. The next step would be a headset. And I was only 10 years old, something like that. I said, I want VR, and I waited so long, been so disappointed not seeing a VR set. So in 2005, I decided, fuck that, I'll do it myself.
So you started doing that before Oculus was really on the page then?
Correct.
Wow, that's impressive.
I guess I didn't start, in VR as early as you did, but I did start gaming as early as you did. I'm up there in age myself. And so I actually came to VR from kind of the arts gaming world. And so I'd seen a lot of it, but I think the aha moment for me, where I really understood what VR could be, was I was at Valve, and I was demoing the Vive at Valve. And I was in their Aperture Lab demo with the robots. And I'm a big Portal fan. And believe it or not, it wasn't the fact that I was in Portal that got me. It started, but there's a point where you have this robot, and you pull the robot apart, and you get to see all the inner workings and the pieces and everything goes together, and you can actually walk around that and look at every angle of it. And to me, I was like, this VR, being able, and all the possibilities that go way beyond gaming and what you can do in VR, and the engineering and simulation, everything. I was like, this is what you can do in VR, and that's what did it for me.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite demo too.
I'm an really old dude. I was in the first wave of VR, and we had a thing at IMAX called a Leap headset, which maybe it's still in the archive, Steve, I don't know. But it had artificial head with two video cameras. And it had the first very wide angle optics that NASA names usually neighbors. So the big views look very, very wide. So for me, I eagerly got this thing, and when you held it above your head, so you suddenly had an out-of-body experience. And it was so vivid, like to walk around as an 8-foot person or something, right? Or to turn around and see your own body. So it really made me feel like VR is experiencing a totally way to like get out of your body, go other places, teleport. It was just kind of magic. So I've always been a fan.
What year was that?
That would be like late 80s.
That's incredible.
Right. I'm waiting too, right?
Was it with the optics? And
I'm an industry outsider, so I don't come from within the industry. I'm not a tech person, I'm a teacher, I'm a science teacher, physics and chemistry. And I got pulled in about 3 years ago in Fast Motion Studios, really to consult to them as they were trying to grow their educational wing. So my aha moment was literally, because I knew nothing about their industry and what they do. I'm a teacher, that's what I do. They brought me in and they had an Oculus Rift working, I guess, with the first generation. I'd never seen this before, so they put the stuff on me. Now it's in what we do, because we do motion capture, you're familiar with motion capture? So we put you in a suit, put you in an environment, etc. So they put this Oculus Rift on me at the time. So first of all, you've seen the virtual environment, which I've never seen before. I've not been a part of this industry. And I was also able to get up and walk around and be mobile in this. And for me, the vision is, as an educator, that holy mackerel. We have a crisis in education worldwide, if you're not aware of it. The 150-year-old model we have is squeezing life out of people all over the planet. It's recognized, it's measurable, it's an index of growth of societies. It's a serious problem that we don't have a solution for. I've been part of that, sort of the steering committees for looking at things like that. And so this was one piece of a huge puzzle of how we can get engagement. Because what we fail to do is entertain well. That's why it's pulled into this industry. They entertain well, we educate well. They look at what we do and say, God, you guys have no idea how to entertain. So if we can tie into what it is that turns people on in terms of natural interest and inclinations, etc., and build a learning platform around them, then maybe we change and move on to dark ages of education. So that was a clear aha moment for me. And my question to them was, can I create objects and interact with them? And their answer was no. Today the answer is yes. So we're doing it downstairs, and I think there's other groups doing it as well. So we cross that boundaries and know the only thing left is the imagination. Whatever you can imagine can now be created.
That's all of those answers are really, really fascinating. So I guess this kind of leads me into the next bit. What excites you most about the future of immersive technology? And I kind of have an idea of what Dave's going to say. Yeah, you can start.
I think that's it. The potential for moving forward. If you're in the pedagogical field of education, they're referring to this right now, what we're going through, as the dark ages of education, because we're doing it without science. We don't really know how people learn. We have all kinds of models about it, but we actually don't know. It's too complex. But what's intersecting right now are three major technologies. The first is big data. Big data science allows us to collect insane amounts of data which you and I could never process and understand. And we're developing the algorithm really well to mine that data and see patterns in the world around us and complex systems that we can now understand and model, which allows us to explain and predict. That allows us, together with, say, virtual reality, to not only create a learning platform for you, but to learn about you as you're going through this phase. So this digital interaction that you have, we can track it, we can compare it to normative standards, etc. We'll learn as we're going better how people learn in a very scientific way, and we can individualize it for you and optimize what, again, are your interests and your natural propensities, etc. The last technology that comes to bear this time, is all converging at the same time, is artificial intelligence. We can populate this environment with interactive things. You have a toad talking to you, or a tree, or a human, or you can bring back an Albert Einstein, whatever you can imagine can be done, and you cannot tell the difference between talking to this avatar or talking to a person at the end of this. We've already done that. So these three technologies converging produce this unlimited possibility.
As a fellow educator, I second that.
I really think VR and AR are new mediums, so everything needs to be created. You cannot just transpose something that was done for another medium to a new one. So I think like a lot of people, let's take the movie industry, when they started television, they were just doing theater on TV, which really didn't work. And now we said the same thing. People try to recreate movies in VR. That doesn't work either. So it's we need to find the new recipe for VR and AR. But it will change everything, not just education for sure, entertainment, but productivity at work too. So I'm very looking forward to that. It will transform the way we interact with the world, and it's like it's the new Far West right now. It's a Klondike. There's so much thing to be built. So and you guys need to be part of this too. You're part of the solution. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to greater immersion. I mean, we're like you said, we're just at the forefront of this, and seeing all these cool things that are coming out. And this morning we talked about holographic, was really awesome. And just the true immersion that we really want to feel out of all this. And of course, everyone wants a holodeck from Star Trek, and I don't know if we'll ever get there. If it could, it would be awesome. But that immersion type thing where you don't have to get dressed anymore to be immersed in this. And there's not all these things you have to start putting on. But when it gets to the point where it's just there, and it's part of your everyday life, and you can jump in and out of these different realities whenever you feel like it, I think that could be a pipe dream still, but I would love to see that kind of immersion.
And we need a brain plug, that's all.
I'm kind of aligned along the education side. I just think it gives people better insights into reality, because I'm more into designing things, building things, changing things. You can really understand things so much better in total 3D and manipulation. And then the social part is huge, I think, as well. Like I haven't experienced a lot of them, but some of the things like showing what it's like to be an immigrant and turn back at the border that was shown, and or to be living in Syria.
And bring
Or
empathy.
something. I mean, that stuff is so powerful. It will actually enlighten people. You will finally realize what it's like to be in another person's shoes.
We're doing it today. On the way here, Anna Maria Tremonti, from CBC, and right now in BC, they're using virtual reality. It's on the Highway 16, I think it is, Highway of Tears, for all the missing and murdered Indigenous females in our community. And so they are using VR to tell the story of a family that's been involved in this. And so the big push was on the use of VR to bring the social issue and the social justice for you can. So, an educator in me, that's the moral compass that I'm talking about. And the potential use for this. Always has to be foremost that there is a moral responsibility to bring forward a technology. And here's a good example of how it can benefit society.
So I just wanted to add, I'm not really a panelist, but in terms of the education thing, just to throw a bit of context in, I recently did a review of the Mars Odyssey application on the Live, and my response to that, and I actually put it in the title of my review, is this is going to change everything about education. I learned more about Mars in a 15-minute demo than I did in 4 years of high school.
And kept you entertained.
100%. And so that's what I said. I was like, this is going to be the way education is done, because kids aren't engaged at school like this will keep them engaged.
Jason said it's a teleporter, it's a time machine, it's an imagination machine. It's almost anything you can think of we can do.
My list of questions is blank.
Or answer
Just a second. My screen is blank. Sorry, that's not here. There it is. Okay. All right. So this question is actually specifically for Bert and Brent. You guys are building new VR headsets and jumping into a market with some giants. What do you see the biggest challenge for a smaller company entering the market with these giants such as HTC and Comcast?
question. I get that question a lot. Well, I think the fact that we do things differently than HTC and Oculus, even HoloLens, we merge AR and VR into one single headset. That enables you to do a lot of different things that you can do on the Vive and an Oculus. And those companies, they're very consumer focused, so very price sensitive. So our plan is not to go against them, because that would be suicide, of course. So we're really into the enterprise market, and we have really no sales force. And people come to us because I think one of our best publicity right now is HoloLens, because people try HoloLens, you know, they make great marketing videos, you think it's super immersive and everything, and then you try it for real, and then you're a bit disappointed. And people then search online and then find that we have 120 degrees field of view AR. So now they get curious, and you need to try to really understand how powerful it is. So I'll reiterate, you should come see our demo downstairs. And then even on the VR side, we focus on higher quality. We have higher resolution than Oculus and Vive. So our way, even if we're smaller, we're only 20 people, the way we can compete is with innovation. That's the only way you can differentiate.
No, I mean, I completely agree. This space, there is still so much room to play in that there isn't just one big player. You look at the top three, essentially, which are Vive, Oculus, and now the PSVR now that it's out. And I get that question all the time too. How are you going to play in this? Well, we're kind of in a different space, and we kind of fit that medium between the mobile VR with like cardboard gear, and then the high-end VR where we play there right in the middle because we have a fully self-contained headset. And certainly, what I've seen from all the different people that I've talked to in conferences that I've been at is that this is a medium, this is a headset that people are looking for, that people want to have. There are so many use cases for this type of headset that it's just not feasible to use at this point. One of these these higher end headsets, and it's not really just for the cost, but it's for the bulk of it. The tether and the giant machine you're going to take everywhere you go. So when you look at some of these enterprise solutions or some of these VR as a service solutions where you have a lot of people coming through, you want them to experience something like education. What it is that you're looking at. How quickly can you get people through? How long are you going to spend in that headset? And those are more the things that we've been looking at. Those are more the things that we try to answer. And that's why we did what we did. We put the battery pack on the back of the headset, and that two things that it does is it balances the weight, so it's a super light headset, making it a lot more comfortable for people to put on and off. But it also allows us to put a much larger battery in there, so we get 6+ hours of battery life out of it. So when you think about the people that are using it, and the use case of people that need to use that for whatever it is, education, retail, real estate, these people that are coming in to try something, a headset like this, it's just a different, it plays in a different field. And we certainly see, that we're not the only ones doing this, other people doing it, but I don't see it as a competition yet. I just see it as playing along and being a part of it. So
you just kind of highlighted yet. What I mentioned in the previous panel was that there's a couple of big players like Oculus that's talking about moving into that space for the next generation. Are you guys frightened that that's going to hurt your business, or is that going to push you guys out?
No, that's a great question. We all knew it was going to happen. I mean, it's been rumored for a long time that Oculus was going to work on one. We thought Google was creating their own, they did Daydream, but it doesn't mean they're not creating their own. It's been known for quite a while that things need to go tetherless. It's kind of a no-brainer. We love what we have, but that tether really can take you out of the immersion that we were talking about. It takes me on quite often when all of a sudden I'm sitting in my chair and keep getting locked on my chair and walking around and trip. I mean, there's all sorts of things that play into that. One thing that this one that I have right here doesn't have is the tracking, right? The 6-stop tracking. We actually do have outside-in tracking that we're going to be demoing at the RDC here in November. So we'll have mobile outside-in base stations that allow you with completely untethered to be able to move around, and that's great. But what Oculus is doing, I think, is awesome because it validates what we're doing, and it validates what we already have. You need things like this to continue to push the technology forward. Otherwise, we get stagnant. And so I'm excited for what Oculus is doing. I'm also excited that they're not there yet, but we are. And so that helps me too. That helps what we're doing, and it just kind of helps show that this is exactly what people are looking for.
Is yours totally self-contained?
It's completely self-contained.
Okay, so no other computer?
No other computer. The computer's built in on board. It's a mobile-based OS. It's an Android-based OS running on a mobile chipset.
So it's very similar to what I was describing before.
Exactly. I was just sitting back there going, wait till I can talk to you. I can show you. You're going to be surprised.
How much is it?
Oh, I can answer that later. Sorry, I would love to answer that question, but I can take that a little bit.
So this question's for Brent. This one. This one's for Gordon. In a world where head-mounted displays are touted as the future for immersive technology, where does Christie Digital's external projection system fit in? Or are you guys moving into head-mounted displays?
As far as I know, we're not really making any head-mounted displays or anything in record. My presentation later will answer a lot of this stuff, but our space in Christie is shared experiences. So almost everything we do is off the head with multiple viewers, and it's more in a different space than you got. It's not so much consumer level or individuals. It's often enterprise, business to business, medicine, simulation, and research, and so on. So I'll show a few examples later on, but it's a fundamental different niche. I mean, we're looking for a business niche with shared experiences where, I know that projection 3D, it's not as immersive as a head mount. We can't do complete 360 rotation. So, I mean, obviously it's not quite as engaging as individual headset. But when you get into business-to-business stuff, we often have to communicate to our team, right? So it's just a lot easier to look someone in the face and talk to them. So often they're in group review. Yeah, it's not the only type of VR, like HMD.
What I find really cool about what we're doing is really interesting about, we talk all the time about the 360 and the immersive and something, but how often do we really do this? Most of everything is in front of us in this area. We'll turn this way, and we'll turn this way. And it's great that we can turn around, but most of the time, what we're doing is right in front of us. So I think I looked at the video you guys are doing. I think it's actually really cool.
Thank you. When the sound can cue you, that's why the 3D sound is so important. I mean, 360 video is extremely difficult because if you don't cue someone, there's someone about to stab you or something, you're not going to look, right? You're not even know.
It's great that you talk about shared experience because that was one of the reasons Disney reached to us because they were building experiences with the Vive. But in VR, it's a bit more difficult to do shared experience. But since we also have AR, they were very excited about that feature because you go with your family at Disney World together, you want that shared experience. So you start in AR, you see that shared experience, then you can move it into the virtual world where you don't have any limitation to what you can do. But maybe we should talk together later.
Yeah, I think AR is one of the things too. Combination, hybrid experiences and so on.
So, Dave, I'm just kind of come up with a question for you right now. Your company's building a shared experience thing for VR, is that right? It's a headset enabled shared experience where you have multiple people?
Correct.
Okay. So your pitch is going, or you were talking about how this is for education, but are you guys moving towards other things like enterprise or maybe arcades or other installations like that?
I would say currently it's strictly an exploratory phase. Their core business, they're going to back to that on Wednesday. And that's the the core of the business that they do, but we want to be a part of this, and we're exploring it now, and the monetization, et cetera, that we're not there yet, as none of us really are, because it hasn't settled on the ground yet. It's still a cloud that's all around us. But we want to be a part of it, and because it will ultimately result in content production of some form, which will no doubt engage our expertise that we have in producing content for movies, television, gaming, etc. So we want to be in there, but we haven't looked at it in terms of how we're going to ultimately monetize this, etc. No, we're not there yet.
Okay. Okay, so next question. Brent, Oculus is, no, wait, no, we talked about this. Never mind, I'll skip it. Everyone, okay. What do you see as the most pressing advancement that the VR industry needs right now? And what's the biggest challenge holding that advancement back?
It needs to go tetherless. But I mean, I don't just say that because I work for a company that creates a computer wireless headset, but it is a big thing that I've got from so many people, and not necessarily consumers, but a lot of the businesses that I talk to, they're looking for something that really frees them. And so when we talk about what Oculus is working on, with the inside-out technology, which of course is the best way to go. Where you don't have to work with any external thing, but we want to be untethered. We want to have essentially have the same quality that we're getting from a tethered experience.
Backpack.
Yes, and you can't do that with a backpack, but you're still tethered, right? There's still a wire coming in. Like what I'm saying, from my point of view, and this is just my opinion, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, is I don't want to put on a bunch of different things. And once I put something on my back, that takes a little bit more out of it too, because I have a bad back, first of all. And you're going to put even if it's 5 pounds I'm going to carry on my back, I'm going to think about that 5 pounds that's on my back now. It's really, can we get that experience in an untethered, inside-out tracking thing? That's just me. That's kind of where I would love to see it go. And then, of course, what these guys are doing with the mixed, where you bring it together, that's where I like to see it go. Did I just kill it?
Brady, you want to follow up?
Yeah, well, I totally agree. I would love to have just an headset that could do everything. But I think the Moore's Law, with the battery and everything, the PC will always be at the forefront.
Of course.
Resolution will always get bigger. Right now we're using 1.5K lines. It's coming at 2K. It's going to be 4K in a few years. Mobile will unfortunately not be able to run those high resolution. It will always be maybe a step lower. So I think there's space for both. So I think for consumer at home, they want to go free and everything. They're more cost sensitive. That's the way to go. If you want to be blown away with the cutting edge technology, I think it's going to be a bit like the Void. You have a backpack with a sensory thing and a crazy source of heat that comes at you. And I've tried the Void I've been fortunate to try it at their headquarters in Salt Lake City, and I've tried pretty much everything, and I was blown away. And it was with a DK2. I didn't even realize it was with a DK2 because you're so into it that your brain just forgets it. You're just into the moment. And even if it's not the best resolution and everything, I cannot even imagine with her headset how it would be, because it would be, I think, the ultimate experience. So I think there's place for it.
So, Brett, what was, Gordon, what's the thing that's holding you guys back in advancing your technology?
Well, I'm also kind of a fan of the AR type stuff, and you see what I saw the last year here at Immersed, try HTC Vive, and seeing how stable the real world tracking was with the outside laser stuff. And then I've only had a few minutes in the HoloLens, but the outstanding stability and registration, I was really impressed by that. So I'd like to see that kind of stability in tracking, but you know, like I hate the tiny field of view of the HoloLens. I just have looking through this little postage stamp. So for me, at my back, I have 24 years at IMAX. Like everything's about field of view and situational awareness and seeing raw view. So if you could marry those things, like amazing tracking and hand sensing with wide field of view that you can put on your head, lightweight, that would be the future. I have no idea how to do all that. But that's what would be really great.
That's what makes it a challenge. What about you, Dave?
I don't really have the lens of the technical aspect too well, so I'm more in the vision of the application in terms of education, entertainment, etc.
That's fair. All right. I think I might have one more question. Oh yeah, okay, so during Oculus Connect last week, Michael Abrash reflected on his predictions for the future. He outlined the problems that he believes will be solved within the next 5 years and considered what likely wouldn't. What technological breakthrough do you expect to see within the next 5 years that will advance your company's product to the next level? What do you hope to see solved, and but that you aren't holding your breath for? So, in other words, what are you hoping will be solved and that would really, really make a difference? And what do you not think will be solved but would really make a difference?
It's interesting because we watched that talk on Friday. I watched it on the weekend, and I said I need to show this to everyone in the office. So I mentioned resolution, 4K by 4K. I agree with him. I think we got. So his prediction was in 5 years. What does he see? So a few things. He said 4K by 4K. Totally agree. Might be a bit better, a bit bigger than that. I think. I would love to see transparent OLEDs. Samsung and Panasonic started showing prototypes with big screen TV. So I think that would be possible. I mentioned field of view. It was funny because he said, "Oh, right now at Oculus we're having a hard time getting past 90 degrees with current technology. We need a breakthrough in optics, and we're already doing 120." So
are we.
yeah. So we're pretty stoked by that. I said that we would go at 140. I think we can go higher than that. What else? He talked about eye tracking. I think that I get a lot of requests from eye tracking companies. He said that's the one he's more worried about. I don't see really that. I'm pretty confident eye tracking will be solved. What else did he mention? Inside Out, I think HoloLens already solved it. So it's going to be integrated in every headset. And then, so for me, the thing that I don't think is going to be solved, but I would love to, is haptics. You know, like wearing a full suit, or I don't know how to do it. I saw like supersonic things on your hands, and I think that's a tough one to break. I think the brain implants has more chances of solving haptics than wearing a suit. So.
Yeah, along the lines of the haptics, I've said it too many times now. The whole thing about getting dressed to do VR, there are cases for that, and I completely agree. But I think, and I don't think this will be solved because it's almost a logistical nightmare. But being able to incorporate these types of devices into wearables that we wear every day already, right? So you're not putting on anything new to do this. So, you know, something that's already in your Nike shoes, right?
Aptic jeans.
Yeah, exactly. That would open up a whole new world of things, but yes.
I could get at least.
I mean, but you know, if your watch is now your motion control, because you're already wearing a watch, and I don't think this is going to be solved in 5 years. But imagine if it was where what you're wearing would already control what you're doing, whether it's AR or VR, and then it really gives you that immersion, and you're not worrying about, I'm not going to put something else on. What I'm wearing already has it. So that's, again, these are my pipe dreams, right? And I have these. I've been imagining some of the stuff for so long, well before I even got into this industry, about things I would love to see in AR. And I can't wait till it gets to the point where it's like that. But it's for some of the things that will be solved in the future. You know, I was at OC3. It was a great keynote. I really liked the things he said. As a matter of fact, I watched it and I queued it up and I sent it to my CTO and said, "You need to watch this." You know, because not only is some of it we're already doing, but to make sure that we're on the right path. You know, because we have our mobile headset, but we're actually currently working on a PC-based headset that has 5K resolution and 180-degree field of view. So these are things that we're currently trying to hit, because we want to push it. We really want to push the boundaries, and so it's something that we continue to fight for to beat the 5-year mark. People say in 5 years we're going to have this, well, we want to have it next year. So these are some of the things that our company is really fighting for, and the engineers and the R&D team we have behind it are just they're just fantastic. So.
In our space, again, shared experiences of business-to-business enterprise, the biggest thing I think is multi-user with multi-points of view. So that what you have in your system with the headsets, we want to achieve in a stereoscopic 3D projected environment. There have been a few experiments in that area. We did something with IMAX, we did Fraunhofer's done some stuff. So we're very interested in that area. And some of our big customers, location-based entertainment providers, are also interested in that. And I think that's not trivial to solve, but it would really open up things because, again, the social aspect, having multiple people in the space. At Immersed conference, I played with the WorldViz thing where two guys who just like throwing cubes at each other with very good position tracking, EPT tracker, very low latency. And it is so much fun when you're with another person and seeing their hands and stuff and throwing things. And it's a totally different experience. Well, I guess that's what it's like. But yeah, if you could do that without having to get all suited up, that's what it was. I like the jeans idea.
And Dave, you said you're not the technical guy, but can you?
Yeah, enough. That's exactly where we're at. That would be the next generation. Is that you won't actually need the 20 cameras either. You probably will if you're doing industry level productions for movies and things like that, just because the resolution is necessary on a big screen. But to use this in a school or a museum or a home environment, etc., you wouldn't need that. And that's in development now. I know from following physics journals, because I'm a physics teacher, that this stuff is going on in imaging, not for entertainment use, but typically biomedical, etc. And replacing the cameras with positional, almost like motion detectors, that will place you in that environment. It's already in the works. Whether it's 1 year off or 10 years off, we can't tell you, but it's going to happen, and that will now make it accessible beyond having a studio with the 20 or 100 camera setup type of thing. That'll allow for portability. So I think that'll come. It's just a matter of time. And that will certainly make be a landmark change in how we utilize this for the fully immersive experience.
Okay, so I think we have some time left.
2 questions.
2 questions, okay.
I'm not asking that, but.
No. Okay.
For Stephen was doing, at some point you were doing caves with monitors and that, are you still pushing, which is the ultimate untethered virtual reality. Is Christy still pushing that technology?
Yeah, we do quite a few caves and eggs and digital domes we're starting to do.
So how has that advanced over the last few years? Is it getting better?
Well, I'm really hoping I get a chance to show the slides. Is that possible? Because I can show you some examples.
Sure.
It's all set up.
Let's take another question.
Is there another question?
Any other questions while you set up?
So my wife's friend is a teacher, and it's just an anecdote. But she was saying how, because kids now, like, they're growing up with, like, iPads and stuff. And she gave an anecdote of giving a book, like a real book, to a kid, and a kid tried to pinch in Zoom a real book. And it was like tapping the right side of the book to go to the next page. Anyways, and I was just thinking, well, that's something that was a problem we didn't think we had. And I'm wondering, 5 years from now, once VR is being used for education, do you see, it's hard to foresee the future, but what kind of consideration should we be having for that?
It's where does it fill in the scaffolding of the education, and what is too much and what is too little? It's certainly not to replace the physical world. There has to be that kinesthetic interaction. But where it's too unsafe, impractical, or expensive to create an environment, and where it's a beneficial level to do so, then we can create it. So it would certainly be supplemental. It is not intended, in my opinion at least, that we're going to take up the school as you know it, and all day long you're going to be walking around with your Oculus Rift in this virtual environment. That would be catastrophic physiologically, and we know many reasons for that. You need to interact with the physical world around you. There's a prime example, not so much the physical world, but the concrete, usable, practical world. We have to find the right balance, and clearly in that case there hasn't been a good balance. But we have not looked at that as a society. We go ahead with our technologies in a sense, almost like a Wild West kind of thing, without using, say, the arms of our education side, which we have all kinds of researchers out there researching all kinds of different crazy things. Well, how about researching the effect of these kinds of technologies on our students? And then talking about it in discourse as a society on should we do it just because we can do it? And where's the balance? So that's the moral compass that we must have as we go forward with this. We must have that. And Canada needs to be a player because we have an inherent moral compass in this country, which, as Obama said, the world needs more Canada. I agree.
Yes. I have toddlers, and I am amazed at what they can do with an iPad. You give it to them and they know exactly what to do immediately without ever having to teach it to them. I had to teach my wife how to use it, but I had to teach my 2-year-old how to use it. But they have books first, and I think it comes into play. And as an educator myself, I would always do the same thing. These things are supplements. Now, my kids are going to grow up with VR because it's the industry that I work in. They'll get a chance to see it, understand it, and play with it. But maybe it's just old school, but everything you need to have. You need to have the real before you have the digital. Otherwise, you're going to lose that understanding. As awesome as the AR and VR is going to be in 5-10 years, or when my kids are 15, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like then and how amazing it's going to be. There's still going to be these things that we have to tie back to, and this is moral compass that we're talking about.
Look at physiologically the nearsightedness that we're seeing. When you're looking at a screen all day, your eye muscles aren't working. It's the same distance. We are designed to look around the world. The muscles are constantly changing and adapting. That's the neuroplasticity of the brain. If you don't develop in the critical periods of development, it may not be able to do it later. We didn't know about that. Now, we saw a problem, we investigated it, and this is one of the many factors that could be involved. It could be just that. So us, as educators, have that moral responsibility to regulate it, to make sure that you're developing it properly. So it's not a right or wrong, it's knowing more about it, looking at it scientifically, so that we guide it, we regulate these things so it's in the best interest of people. And then you go forward with it. Purposefully.
Should we get back to you?
Yeah, Gordon, go ahead.
Okay, well, as I said, we're kind of more in the B2B space, not consumer. So what are the things you need for kind of professional in VR? Most of our history at Christie has been in vision and sound, CD, hearing. But we do commonalities that we use systems that are more than one person. There are larger shared experiences, digital domes, caves, things like that. So fundamentally, people want to look at each other's faces. They want to see their body language. They want to talk to each other comfortably. It's really hard to be, even when you're in a group head-down spaces, because you still feel isolated and cut off. So we're in the space of trying to enable multiple users to do things. One example is a digital dome. This is the Evans and Sutherland Dome in Kosi. And it's not as immersive, like I said, it was engaging as a head-mounted display. The big pro is that you get a lot of people, right? So it's also easier to monetize and throughput. A lot of these big builds are only 2D. They find that the build's so far away that it's not essential, or we can do 3D. And we recently just did a week ago the world's first 8K, 120 frame per second digital dome demo right here at the Ontario Science Centre. So it was a world first with Evans and Sutherland in the Ontario Science Centre. So to drive that thing, you need a few PCs. It's 40 PCs and it's 88 million pixels. So just a little bit of computer power. Yeah, very basic. But most of the stuff we do is a lot smaller. So it's the stuff like the caves like this. This is down at Marquette University. We're going to have a few users. This is the same Marquette cave using the training 7 nurses or medical people, maybe they're doctors, I don't know. But anyway, you can get that team feeling in a cave that you can't get as easily on a headset. General Motors uses our systems for designing vehicles, and they can check the field of view, reach to instruments, and so on. So it's a real world thing they like to do. They use PowerPoint to just have a 3D view to review it with their team. And it also helps, like I told, in getting executive approval, so you can show it big and beautiful as a group. So a more recent thing we've done is a thing called the Egg, which is an 8 projector unit. It has, this in terms of resolution, it has 18 times the per eye resolution of the DK2, so it's a lot of information from the 8 projectors. York was the first one to use it for studying vision and balance and direction, and it completely encompasses your field of view, so you get 240 degrees field of view. And unlike a head mount, I have trouble with a lot of them wearing more than like half an hour or something, but you can, there's nothing on your body, so you can go for hours.
Is this a Venetian? It looks like the Venetian activities.
Yeah, it's a fake place. We've also done a lot of work with simulators. Christy made a lot of pollinated type displays. This is one for Gulf Stream. So again, I've heard stories about pilots having accidents because they can't. The co-pilot will challenge the pilot, but the body language, seeing the other guy's face, is very important. Recently, we've been experimenting with kind of augmented reality, I guess, like projecting virtual things onto the real world. This is in Colorado, projection mapping on an arena. And this is kind of a mixed basketball game type situation where you turn the entire court or ice into one big TV using the world's brightest projectors. And the stuff I'd like to talk about now is more like tactile, because I think tactile is hugely important in VR. And the ability to get textures and so on, it is really a frontier that we're going to explore a bit. So we made a little cheap version, two projector version of a device called Immersed. And that allows us to use 2 low-cost T-series projectors. And you can get out of that, 158 degrees field of view, which is pretty good, and much better resolution, like 4 arguments for optical line pair. So again, you get higher res than just about any get now. For tactile, we added 8 transducers to the seat, and the whole thing fits in about an 8 by 8 by 10 foot spot. It's only run by 2 computers, but that handles visuals and head-related transfer function, 3D spatial sound, and 8 channels of tactile feedback. So what we did is we have 4 pairs of 2 transducers for feeding back wind, like gusts, vibration, rain, and collisions if you collide. So there's stuff on your legs and your feet and your bum and your back. It's controlled by 2 joysticks. In this case, we developed a oil refinery scenario with WorldViz, and you're kind of piloting a UAV, so inspecting the oil refinery with the UAV. Now the third phase that we're just most recently involved in is adding motion. So when you're driving home tonight, just pay attention to all the sensations you're getting from your body, like from your feet, from the steering wheel, the seat. You can tell almost everything that's going on from those vibrations, right? You don't often think about it, and the changes in direction and so on. So that's what we're working with under an NSERC grant with Simon Fraser University and Dr. Bernard Wenke, is how can you make these things even more immersive with motion. And so there's good evidence that how important touch is. This is kind of the relative bandwidth in your brain. And notice that touch in pink is over 10 times the bandwidth of audio, and yet we're an AV company. Vision is still most important in blue, but touch is extremely important, and the more we can incorporate it into VR, the better. So the first time I sat on a little turntable, my student rotated on me like a yaw sensation would be really powerful and really drastic, so I knew it would work. I knew it would help immersion. So we started by making a single-axis simulator and looked at our algorithms, and everything's driven linearly with lead screens. There's the thing in CAD layout, so we kind of designed it to fit within that existing UAV simulator. And the principle that was identified originally by Doug Trumbull was that if you impart a motion vector X, Y, Z, you can impart a motion vector in any direction. And you don't need to sustain it, but you can give a little push at the right time in the right direction. It can really make you feel more immersed. And so this has 3 motors going up and down, one side to side, one forward to back, and one yaw motor. And we also moved the speakers to move with the seat, and it folded controls to get in and out, and 2 emergency stop in case people feel motion sickness or safety. So it took months and months of debugging and testing, but we're finally just about ready with it. And here Casey's flying it. And our next phase of work is to improve the algorithms to kind of maximize the immersion without bottoming out the motor torque or the travel.
How much is a setup like that?
Money wise?
How much is a setup like that?
Money wise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't like.
I'm not supposed to talk about cost. It's a lot more than that.
It's an enterprise solution.
It's an enterprise.
Is it 6 or 7?
Good. I mean, conclude off the head VR could work for professional B2B type things. Yes, I know it's usually expensive compared to like a consumer level, but there really is a future for it, and we do a lot of work on it. So I hope you will actually consider incorporating tactile and haptics and touch in your stuff, because I think it adds so much. Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause.